Hey guys, I'm here for my recap of Croatia versus Brazil. I just finished watching it, and to be completely honest, if you were looking for a replay, I would skip the entire regular time. It was kind of boring. I don't know if complain is the right word, but I mentioned this in the last time that Brazil played. And, whoa, sudden pain in my eye. Wow. In the last game, one of the commentators mentioned that Brazil likes to pass the ball and lull their opposition to sleep. And I said, yeah, that's kind of true. And it's pretty boring. And that, for some extent, that was the case. Not as much as their last match, but to some extent, yes. So sorry. One of the dogs is breathing funny. Okay, one little stat from before the game is that Brazil have topped their group in every World Cup since 1986. That's insane. Like, that's crazy. That's almost 40 years of always being at the top of your group in the group stages. Germany haven't even gotten out the group the last two times. Italy doesn't even always qualify. That's a really impressive stat. However, didn't help them. Weren't they FIFA's #1 ranked team too? So in the 105th minute, Neymar scores for Brazil. And this goal, it was his 77th goal. And that puts him level with Pelé, who has also scored 77 goals for Brazil. Pelé managed to score those 77 goals in 32 less matches. However, I think Neymar still has some time left in him, and he is probably going to exceed this record and set a new one. Sorry, it's like 1 a.m. Personally, I'm not really a fan of Neymar. I'm not. I'll just leave it at that. But yeah, so he scored. In the 116th minute, Petkovic scored for Croatia to equalize it 1-1. He got a yellow card because I really don't understand this. He took his shirt off while celebrating. First, I'm not entirely sure why this is such a yellow card offense. I get that it's in the rules, but I don't really understand why. It's so stupid. But second of all, taking off your shirt to celebrate is also stupid. What is that instinct that some of these players have that I'm like, I've got to rip my shirt off now? It's kind of weird. You could see him even fumbling to try to get his shirt to come off. Just resist, dude. Resist the urge. At least with the Brazilian dances, they're not taking their shirts off and getting yellow cards. Jeez Louise. But he wasn't in jeopardy of a second yellow or missing the next match, so I guess he figured whatever. And also at that point there was only 4 minutes left in the extra time, and he had just made sure that his team went through to a penalty shootout. Which brings me to my not written down notes and just my thoughts and observations. I feel like everybody said Brazil was the favorites to win. Literally every one of the Fox Sports pundits said that they had Brazil winning the tournament. At least the last time I watched. watch one of their roundups. I stopped recording them because I was running out of DVR space, so I just stopped watching. But anyways, they all had Brazil winning. They had different countries going through, but all of them had Brazil as the winners. Brazil was the number one FIFA ranked team going into this tournament. And I think that it got in their heads. And I think that they felt entitled to a win, that they were bringing it home. And when you go in to matches with a sense of entitlement, that you deserve to win, that you are going to be the winner, that this can ultimately be your downfall. I think that this happened in, hang on, let me pull out my spread, because there was another team I thought this was the case for them too. Spain versus Morocco. I think Spain felt they were entitled to win, that Morocco was ranked so much lower than them, and that that they were just entitled to the win. And I think that that's how Brazil was going into this. And when they scored their goal, and even throughout the match, Landon Donovan kept constantly saying there's a lack of urgency, a lack of urgency to score a goal. And this was definitely the case. And once they had scored, it's like, oh, we scored, we're entitled to our win. And Croatia, meanwhile, played in a way that, not played in a way, well, yes, kind of, that showed their belief, that they believed the whole time that they could get through. Not that they were entitled to get through, but if they could do it, they could do it. That's repetitive, I know. But even after Brazil scored, there were moments where I was watching them just pass the ball back and forth, and I was like, they realize they're not the team a goal up, right? Because they just, they had this confidence in themselves that they were going to cut through the Brazilian defense and get the goal that they needed to take them to penalties. And it happened. They made it happen. And Croatia, what's nice about them is what I've liked about Wales, which is why I watch Wales so much, is that they play as a complete whole team, that they all defend together, they attack together. It's a team effort. It's not a superstar leading the way. It's a whole team working together. And the thing that Croatia have over Wales is that they have better defense. They have a better defense, and their keeper has had an amazing tournament. Between him and the Moroccan keeper, I don't know how you can pick. I feel like the Croatian keeper has a tiny edge, but it's minuscule. Those two keepers, that's part of why I want to see them in the final together. Those two keepers are having amazing matches. Anyways, so they get to the penalty kicks. And there's the coin flip, of course, and it decides that the penalties will be taken in Brazil's half, but Croatia gets to go first. And the first Croatian player goes up and he scores his goal. And then the first Brazilian player goes up, and then the Croatian keeper, Lakovic, I believe, saves it. And in the previous match, he had saved 3 penalties. And it was just this confidence. And also, I think it rattled the heads of the Brazilian players. They missed the first one. But not only that, but the 4 Croatian players who had to take penalties all scored them. there came a point where Brazil had to make every one of their penalties to even have a hope. And even then, they had to hope that their keeper could stop one of Croatia's. And the final penalty taker, I think that some of this got into his head. He was trying to place the ball very precisely just inside of the posts, and instead he ends up hitting the post. And they showed in slow motion him just falling to his knees and falling to the ground. And I feel bad for that player, because that's another moment that is going to haunt him. Like, it's not that his ball got saved. It hit the post. And that sucks. It was so fun, though, to watch the Croatians celebrate. They were so happy. They were so proud of their win. And I want to give a special shout out. I mean, he'll never see it, whatever. But props to Luka Modric. Okay, previously I've had a history of having this player on my hate list. I know it has, I don't remember the incident. It's from 10 years ago, probably, but having something to do with Bayern Munich, and I felt like he was an arrogant whatever. But over the last 4 years, he has slowly grown on me. And not the performance, it was the after performance that really impressed me and made me a fan of him. And that is, he celebrated a tiny bit with his team, but then he went around to all the Brazilian players that looked upset. And maybe they're players he knew from club or whatever, but he went to them and tried to comfort them. It's like he would see one on the ground and he'd walk up to them and he'd say a few words, he'd pat them on the back, he'd give them a little hug. And I felt like this was a display of a really good person, and a good captain and a leader. That for one thing, I mean, they made it to the finals of the last World Cup and they lost at the finals. So he knows that devastation of, it's the end. And I think it's really a compassionate thing to put aside your joy and celebration for a few minutes and comfort those who are in that moment really honestly struggling. I mean, Neymar covered his face with his shirt and just cried. And I really came to really respect Luka Modric, seeing him do that. And then, of course, he went and celebrated with his team, which he has every right to do, and he should do, because it is their victory. And, they were underdogs going into this match. Everyone picked Brazil to win. I think I picked Brazil and said I'm rooting for Croatia, but I think Brazil will win. And I'm glad to have been wrong that Brazil didn't win, that Croatia did. But I mean, they did an impressive thing, and they deserved the win. It wasn't even just luck of the draw. They worked hard for it, and I really feel they deserve it. So Croatia are through now to the semifinals. And I have the Argentina-Netherlands match still to watch. I do know the outcome of that, but I've heard that there's some drama in it, but I don't know what it's about. So there's still plenty to watch and discover. So I will be doing that and then have that update, and then I will edit the videos and upload. So this was a very good quarterfinals. Very good quarterfinals. Even at good matchups and everything. So I will be back later with another update. Bye, guys. Okay, it's super late, so I'm going to wrap up this Netherlands versus Argentina match as quickly as I can because I need to go to bed because I'm going to need to wake up soon. So, this match was a mess. Honestly, it was a bad showing from the referee. There were 17 yellow cards given. There should have been some reds. Argentina were lucky to have ended the match with all of their players on the field. They really shouldn't have. At least 2 players should have gotten a second yellow to have gotten a red. Messi and Fernando, I think his name is. It was just poorly refereed and really diminishes my opinion of Argentina altogether. So I will not be rooting for Argentina in any matches. Looking at the list of countries they could potentially play, yep, nope, won't be doing it. So in the 34th minute, Molina scored a goal for Argentina, making it 0-1. In the 54th minute, Messi should have been given a yellow for a handball. His arm was outstretched and in a way that's considered unnatural, and it was a definite handball. Should have been a yellow card. If your body part isn't in a natural position, that's an automatic yellow if outside of the penalty box, and then a penalty if it is in the penalty box. And Messi's was clearly outstretched and ball hit it, yellow card. Didn't get it, probably because his name is Lionel Messi, and that's the perks for being considered the best for a long time. I'm sorry, I'm not ever really been a fan of Messi. He annoys me. I know I'm in the minority on that. Wasn't really a fan of Ronaldo, not really a fan of Messi, and I was really not a fan of the Ronaldo and Messi are the best 2 players and everything's got to be awarded towards them and blah blah blah, and no other player in any other position matters, just Lionel Messi and Ronaldo. I got really sick of that. Anyways, that's just me. In the 70th minute, a penalty is awarded to Argentina. Messi scores it. In the 82nd minute, Weghorst, who he'd been given a yellow earlier in the match while on the bench, and I think it was Landon Donovan was saying this was the first time he had stood up to complain about a call from the referee, and apparently this is a super common practice in soccer, but the referee gave a yellow anyways. He hadn't received a warning or anything, so I mean, I think personally that's kind of ridiculous. I think the referee gave 2 yellows like that. Anyway, so he scored a goal, making it 1-2 in favor of Argentina. In the 88th minute, that's when all hell breaks loose. An Argentinian player fouled the Dutch player. It was a clear foul. And then that player, the Argentinian player, proceeded to kick the ball at the Dutch bench, which is just atrocious. It was deliberate. It's not like an accidental kick the ball. It was deliberate. He should have received 2 yellow cards for this. 1 for the foul, 1 for kicking the ball at the Dutch bench. Instead, he only receives 1 yellow. So this player should have not been on the pitch anymore, and Argentina should have been down to 10. It didn't happen. However, the response from the Dutch, also not great. One player kind of body checks him, and then the entire Dutch bench comes off their bench and comes onto the field. And then I think that results in the entire Argentinian bench coming off of their bench and coming onto the field and getting into a kind of brawl. I mean, it was a mess. It was a complete mess. And, yeah, lots of players received yellows in that skirmish of sorts. In the 10th minute of extra time of the second half, Weghorst, who scored the other Dutch goal, scored again, making it 2-2. This was literally the last minute of extra time, and the Argentinians weren't happy about this because they felt too much time had been given for added time. But they have to acknowledge that they did a lot of time wasting things that in past years would have been ignored. But this year, the referees decided to make sure it was 90 minutes of playing time. So goalkeepers wasting time taking the kick or wasting time when they set up to do a throw-in or a corner kick. That's not going to be allowed this time. They're going to be, all that time is going to be given back. So, at the end of the second half, when they're going to go into extra time, the bench is cleared again. Players were pushing and shoving. I don't know why. Somewhere in the fray of those multiple fights, Messi should have been given his second yellow, but it was only his first yellow because he wasn't given for the handball, which is, again, ridiculous. So the game ended 4-2 penalties. I'm so sorry, you guys. I'm so sorry. And I mean, yeah, that's about all there is to say. It wasn't a pretty match. The commentators thought it was exciting, but it's not the kind of match I like to watch, honestly. I like to see good soccer being played, and I don't like to see a lot of that drama and extra antics. So, I, will not be supporting Argentina. Okay. So that sums up that game. So sorry. Once you start yawning, you can't stop. So yeah, I'm going to end this here, and I will catch you guys up after tomorrow's games.